Okay, let's get started. So, welcome to the Vision to Success Digital Marketing Workshop, effectively implementing your marketing plan, a step-by-step guide which I'll be presenting today. These are free regular workshops that are designed to help you take your vision and realize it into a successful business. The overall structure for the next hour will be a short introduction as to who we are and what Vision to Success is all about. And then the main part, which is the educational presentation on an aspect of marketing. There'll be a chance to ask questions at the end, but please feel free to drop questions into chat, and I'll make sure they're addressed as we go, because it will help bring the thing into context for you. And then if there's any, and as I said, we'll be answering questions from our live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And if we have time at the end, we can open the floor up to any questions on marketing or business in general. I've worked with over 600 businesses the last 20 years, so hopefully we've got some idea of what the answers to your questions might be. So when we work with a business, we find out what their current situation is. You know, you've got to, in order to work out a trajectory of where somebody needs to be, you need to know where you currently are. So what has changed? Because a lot of people are thinking, well, you know, I went on a social media course a few years ago. I did a website management course a few years ago, or whatever. What's changed? Well, a lot has changed. I found the COVID image, because that has fundamentally changed a lot of the way things are done. So what worked may not work anymore, and you've got to appreciate that what you learned 2 or 3 years ago about digital marketing no longer be applicable. We've noticed a huge jump in complexity and innovation, and in the innovation of technology. And we'll be looking at how we now do get the baseline metrics for when we work with a client. We've recently, very recently, in the last couple of weeks, completely revamped our reports that we send to clients. They've got a lot more detail in them. They're focused in on different aspects, so that you can really drill down into what you need to focus in on in order to what things to improve. Working habits, you know, we're all in this presentation, we're all in this all on Zoom. I mean, the technology has improved rapidly during COVID. You know, I moved to Shropshire, which is some distance from Manchester, which is where the business is based. Charlie, my daughter, is currently in New York, so we can hit more global times. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you work. Our team are spread around the world. We've got people working for us in pretty much not every continent, but quite a lot of continents, because we want to work with the best. You know, that may not always be in the country you're working from. And it's also to provide cost-effective services to our customers. So a lot has changed. Because people are able to work from home, the amount of online spend has dramatically gone up. And so the algorithms, so you've got a lot more people, a lot more eyes looking at things, and that's made it a lot more challenging for the suppliers to get seen. So, as for example, talking on my LinkedIn to a hosting provider, those are the people who support websites and so on. And about 10 years ago, they just used to put Google ads up and used to get lots of traffic. Because they've not kept up, and because they've not worked on how to differentiate themselves, they become Me Too, and the Google ads no longer work or cost, because people like GoDaddy, and I'm not a great fan of GoDaddy, but their marketing is good. We've got SiteGround, which we're big fans of. There's Cloudways, and a few of these other ones which make it so easy to do the support, that it means that it's harder for other people to get found. And we know that working with clients who are using Amazon, that their algorithms equally, you know, it's, if you think of sort of where you buy from now, and quite a lot of you will be buying from Amazon, you'd be very hard pushed, even if you didn't like Amazon, not to buy from Amazon. So it makes it very hard for other websites to get found. It's not an ideal situation. And one of the things that, so I've been talking to all my 30,000 LinkedIn connections, and generally 70% rely on referrals and word of mouth, which is great. But their businesses are never going to grow at 10, 20, 30%. If you want to really grow, you either have to be in a very fast moving market that's growing anyway, or you need to be very proactive. That's kind of where we sit in the marketplace. We're looking for companies who are serious about growing and who want to get bigger. Some of the larger companies, when I've been speaking to the M&A guys, merger and acquisitions guys, the bigger companies are just hoovering up smaller companies to get that growth. They're not bothering with marketing as such. They just go, right, okay, well, we've absorbed one company who's got a customer base. Let's go and find another one and get a customer base. And that's how the bigger companies are growing. Some of the bigger companies are growing. But growing by acquisition is a skill in itself. But if you're a smaller company looking to grow, then you've no choice but to be proactive with your marketing. So one of the things when we talk to people is, well, what are the goals of your business? What do you want to achieve? And since we work with a lot of founders and business owners, we first of all say, well, okay, what do you want to achieve? One of the mistakes that we've seen that frustrates me is when we work with a company, I really get to know them, really get to find out what it is that makes them tick. What is it they like? What is it they want, and so on. And if they're a larger company, they may have other consultants working on different bits of the business. And these guys don't particularly have any marketing experience, but they will start to suggest things they could do with their marketing. But they don't understand what the business owner wants. They don't understand the major objectives of the business. So you need to be crystal clear before working with any marketing consultant or agent, or even bringing on marketing people into your team, is what is it you want to achieve? Where do you want to be in 10 years' time? There's a thing called Traction by Gino Wickman, which is a brilliant book on growing your business. It's got all the tools and things you will ever need. And part of the first exercise you do after vision and values is what's the 10-year goal? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 3 years? So be really crystal clear on what it is you want to achieve, because if you haven't got a plan, any plan will do. And that's what happens. Okay, so the next step is, what is your most profitable product or service? If you want to accelerate growth and bring in more money, which is at the end of the day what we're all here about, then identify what is your most profitable product or service. And that sounds quite easy to do, but I ran a waste management business where my overheads were about 70% of the turnover, which meant my direct costs were only 20% with a 10% margin for profit. And because those people and assets were spread over quite a few contracts, it was actually quite hard to find a product or service. So it may sound an easy question to ask, but sometimes it can be a difficult question to answer. But it is well worth doing that exercise. And if you're not sure how to do it, then obviously we can help you, or your accountant should be able to tell you. Next becomes, what is your most profitable customer? Who's your most profitable customer? And we talk about buyer personas. And if you've watched any of the other previous workshops, and they will be coming out in the 5-minute workshops as well over the next few months, really understand who your most profitable customer is. And again, this can be quite tricky, very easy to ask, can be quite challenging to answer. And then also look at, what marketing approach is currently working. What is it that you're doing that will actually be that's generating the results that you need. So this is from Alex Hormozi. It took me a while. Well, my daughter found it. Charlie, my daughter, found this. If you just search for success equation on Google, it comes up with all sorts of stuff. But after a bit of research, we got to this equation. So dream outcome, what is it you want to achieve? That's why we asked that question earlier on. What is the chance of achieving that? So, for example, take the hosting company I've been talking to. If they, because they're not remarkable anymore, that was the owner's words, they don't stand out. What is the chance of actually getting to where they need to be? One of their options might be just to sell their customer base to another company and do something different. We do both SEO and search engine optimization and pay-per-click ads. People will say to people it's going to take between 6 to 12 months or even 18 months before your search engine optimization will have any effect. And it's quite time consuming, therefore quite expensive to do. But in the long run, it's really good. But the problem is it doesn't give you the short-term results. And so people go, well, it's in Google, you'll get found. No, there's huge amounts of competition. There's lots of fine-tuning to be done in order for a website to really do well within the search engines. So that's when we come to looking at things like paid ads. And we're going to go into this a bit more detail. So yes, there's more sacrifice, i.e. you've got to pay some money. The effort is minimal, to be honest. If you can get the right keywords at the right marketplace, pointing at the right landing page, the time delay is days for Google to sort of wake up and go, oh yes, this is worth promoting, because it's not instant. It's not like a switch. It takes a week or so for Google to check it out, people to based on people visiting the sites and so on. So that's the equation that should be in your head every time that anybody talks to. So we had so we're working with one company, and their strategy is international diversification, because we think we've pretty much saturated the UK market for what they do. And then somebody rocked, oh, why don't you go enter these the Red Rose Awards for Lancashire, for example. Well, that only gives you visibility in Lancashire, so there's lots of effort, quite a time delay. Is it going to achieve the likelihood? What's the likelihood of achievement? Not great for globalization. So this is the equation you should look at whenever you're doing anything. And a lot of business owners do this anyway, but naturally. If you're a founder, business owner, or entrepreneur, this stuff's hardwired into your brain. And if it isn't, if you aspire to be any of those things, then that's what you need to be able to do on a regular basis. So I love this customer flywheel. We all talk about funnels, but this is closer to reality. And if you Google, I think it's customer flywheel, you'll get various sort of things on this. So at the top here, we've got strangers, and that's we're in the attraction phase. We then want sales in prospects, and this is where we have to engage them with either videos, web chat, email forms, email, phone, whatever your market is, however your market engages with you. It might be on board online calculators. We're going to talk about habit tracker in a bit. And then hopefully that turns into customers. And it doesn't stop there. It's all about delighting your customers. What do you need to do to really make your customers go, wow, this is a great company to work for? and it's an ongoing process. And they will then promote your business. And like I say, if you've been in business a while and your growth, you've no real aspirations for growth, then referrals will keep your business going. Certainly, according to 70% of the people I've been speaking to. So it's getting inquiries from your warm audience, a cold audience. So this is like Google Ads. Warm audience might be your email newsletter, getting content out there, being seen. We push out a lot of content onto LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. All top tips to help you. And I say our latest one is doing these micro modules, because the content is changing. I was with a very traditional manufacturing company yesterday, and about a couple of years ago, I encouraged them to get somebody part of one of the employees to really get going on the video. And he's pulled out some cracking 5-minute to very short videos on how-tos, engineers and people like that looking for solutions, love that kind of thing. And finally, paid advertising. It is the fastest but most expensive route. But if you've got to get things going quickly and the keywords aren't too competed for, and you put up a good landing page, a very focused one at your target product, most profitable product or service, then that can be a quick way to bring some money in, so you can do things in more detail. Okay, data collection. You need to have a baseline. One of the things I do when we take on a new client is hook up all the Google Analytics, the Google Search Console, and the Google Looker Studio, which are all free, all from Google. And so we set up the conversion tracking. So that needs a little bit of technical work, which one of our team does, which then tells us what's converting at the moment, because that's really important. What's currently working, because there might be areas where we can go, hey, we can double down on that. Google Search Console. All of these things we've covered in previous workshops. They're on the, if you go to how to get to the top of Google, I think on what that presentation, that workshop we ran, if you go to the Vision2Success website and find that, it's got all this sort of detail and information in it. Well, Google Search Console tells you what Google is sending to your website. Analytics is about what's happening on your website. Google Looker Studio is a new, relatively new setup, but it's the reporting tool that we use. We haven't found anything. There are quite a few paid-for tools, but to be honest, Looker Data Studio really is it's free. We actually have a member of our team who's an expert on it, and he builds all our reporting for all our clients. So, as I said, we have actions. So clarify your vision, identify your most profitable product or service, identify your ideal client, and then whether it's with your developer or you can do it yourself, then you need to set up. And these are all free, by the way. Tag Manager, GA4, which is the analytics, Search Console, and Looker Data Studio. And again, if you pop in a note in your diary to see me for 30 minutes, I'll quickly take you through that process, and then you can decide whether you can do it yourself or pay somebody to do it. Your developer should be able to do this stuff, but if not, you know where to come. Okay, so step 2, we've got a baseline. We now need to reimagine the business. And the old Einstein quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, especially at the moment with this sort of kind of weird economic climate that we're currently in, where it feels like it's bobbing along the bottom, but who knows? If you keep doing what you've been doing, it will not change. So we need new habits. So focusing on growth. So we've got our baseline, so we should know now what's working and what isn't. Which of our markets are growing? There is no point throwing money into a declining market unless you've got a last man standing strategy. which is a specific strategy for markets where the competitors are falling by the wayside because they've not been efficient. They've not got the right strategy in place. I work with a paper box making company, or they made the tools for people making boxes, and there was a particular machines that they became specialists in, and they were the only ones in this country that did it. And so they had last man's standing strategy, but you've got to be careful what you're doing there. If you think of the valve manufacturers that we used to have in TVs, they're still quite popular in big stage amps for music festivals and so on. Although I don't know what's the case then. But so the Mallard, the people who made them were the last man standing because they'd got a big share of the market, but they shrunk their business to fit that market. But most of the time, you want to be in a growing market. There's a thing called the Ansoff matrix. So can you sell more to the same market, i.e. what's called market penetration? Can you sell new products or service to your existing market, which is a next least risky approach? So we do marketing, and we developed the fractional CMO's accelerator service, which which is new product, but existing market, a market we already knew and we're already present in. But we felt that we needed to really focus in on something that would get us to our ideal customer with our ideal products or service. So we've done it to ourselves. This is, and you'll see in our marketing how that's changed if you do follow us. And then the next more challenging one is selling existing products to new markets. I don't recommend selling new products to new markets unless you're a startup, when you have no choice. So what can you focus in on? What can you reimagine? So when we work with people, we talk about, okay, because I've worked with over 600 business lots of sectors. There are actually things we can pinch from other sectors to say, oh, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And sometimes that perspective go, oh, yes, we can do that, and so on. And so you do what's in this modern term of a pivot, where and we've done several pivots now as we've been exploring different ways to grow the business. It's not we pivot and that's it. It probably requires several mini pivots to get to where you need to be. And all the time, how can you provide better value to clients without increasing your costs? And that's where we've worked hard on our reporting, because now it's all set up. It's something we can keep rolling out, and we will be providing far, far better information to our clients than our competitors will, and which means we can analyze where they're up to a lot better. So this is the sort of thinking that you need to be taking on board. Okay, talked about Einstein and changing your habits. Look at why are habits successful. It's all about doing good things repeatedly and consistently. That's why you develop good habits of working. A friend of ours does a lot of training on productivity, and a lot about that is about doing things consistently, doing the right things consistently. You got to think why, this young lady is an athlete in the picture there. She's got things stacked against her, but if she, by being consistent and working away at it and being, sort of getting coaching advice and so forth, no reason why, and that's why athletes are successful. That means regular reporting. I'm going to mention in a slide coming up our habit tracker. And when you develop a new habit, you're basically layering new habits on old habits, and that's why sometimes you regress if that new habit has not overtaken that bad habit. Changing habits there's whole books on it, and it's quite a science in itself, because humans are geared to doing the same thing, and changing it to something new can be quite challenging. So what are the things that, we would look at tracking? Well, sales revenue, obviously, conversions, how many sales are you making? What is the path to get to that conversion? That's can be quite challenging. But Google Analytics, if your data is coming through digitally, have got a thing called conversion paths. So you can see how people come into the website and where they've got to. If you're more traditional and you use the phone, or people sort of send an inquiry by email and you then pursue it that way, you may have slightly longer lead times, then that's where a CRM comes in. And if you've not got a CRM and you're dealing with quite a few new people, new prospects every week, month, whatever, then you should be looking at the HubSpot CRM. It's free and it's amazing, the functionality in it. It beats anything out there. There's a thing, if you want to pay for it, then there's things like Pipedrive and Insightly. How many leads? I work with a cleaning company, and I said to them, where do you get your leads from? Oh, I don't know. I said, well, because the people used to ring into this business because it's a cleaning company, and the yellow pages and things like that, even today. And it was quite a battle getting them for the people answering the phone to just ask one question: where did you hear about us? So getting the source of a lead is super important, and then also recording what leads you're getting. Are you growing your email database? Email marketing works, and the better you get at it, the more you'll retain your existing client base. We talked about delighting your customers. Well, this is a fantastic way to feed additional news, information that they may not have heard of, out to you. I'm getting towards pension age, and Aviva, the company that does quite a bit of my stuff, sent me an email. I don't generally read them, but they've got quite good headlines. And they talked about flexi retirement, so not semi-retirement, because I love this stuff. But maybe there might be some times in the summer where, hey, it'd be cool just to take a few weeks off or something, a month off or something. And so maybe this flexi retirement. So that was, so they grabbed me, and they've kept me engaged with them. So rather than hunting around, I think, oh, okay, yeah, that's working for me. If you've got a lead magnet like some kind of calculator or some kind of ebook or something like that, then record those and look at your website traffic. So there's some of your key ones. You may have something different. Okay. So thinking about developing these good habits, what is the biggest win of the week? What do you think you could have done better this week? We have a habit tracker which we're very happy for you to use, to test out with these questions. If you go to tracker.cub-uk.net, you can log onto it free of charge. What other challenges did you face this week? What are the hurdles you had to get over? Keeping it like a diary, of these things, or using some kind of system really helps. And then what are the actions going forwards? So after we've had a meeting with somebody, we'll make a note of all the actions, tell them, hey, this is what you guys need to be working on. This is the things we're going to work on on your behalf. And slowly but surely, there's a thing called Marginal Gains by David Brailsford. He helped a few years ago with the Chinese Olympics get the women athletes, women cyclists to do brilliantly in there. And it was all through marginal gains, working on little bits and working on these habits, getting these better habits. And then we ask the question, how can we help you? So here are the actions. So reimagine your business. What do your customers really value and need? And you'll find this sort of question in any good sales and marketing book. And then in terms of, especially in terms of digital marketing, what is it you really stand out? What makes you really different from the competition? You know, we're all in Me Too businesses. There's very few who have got one USP, unique selling point. It's all about differentiation. How does the package of bits that you do make you stand out? And for the people you want to sell to, and that's why I asked a room. I was doing an in-person present workshop with about 35 people. Only 5 people knew what their ideal customer was, which I found frightening, to be honest, because I've been talking with this group for quite a long time now, and I know all the other marketeers, there's about 4 or 5 of us in the group, will have been talking about the same thing. So because it's all about who you're selling to and what they would value. Just think of selling a telecom system. If you're selling to a medical company who provide medical devices, their requirements are going to be different to, say, a call center selling phone lines and things like that. And then what are the metrics? What are you going to actually measure? Because if you don't measure, then it's not doing it. We provide either weekly or monthly reports for our clients, so it gives them that information straight away. So we've got the baseline, we've reimagined the business. What are we going to do day one after that? What's the thing that's really going to kick off the growth in the business? So we're a big fan of this, RACI. So who's going to be deliverable person responsible for delivering the marketing? Who's going to do the work? Is it an agency? Is it your apprentice? Have you got a marketing manager, a sort of marketing coordinator in the business? Who's physically going to go on the keyboard and do what's necessary? And then who's going to be accountable for that work? Who's the marketing manager? And this is where the fractional CMO stuff comes in. Fractional CMO stands for part-time chief marketing officer. It's more of a US thing, but think of it as a part-time marketing manager. So who's going to make that happen? And then who's going to communicate? What reports and information you're going to send to we put C-suite because we're doing quite a bit with the US, but with the management team, senior management team in the UK. And then, what do the board get? If there is a higher board above that, what do they get? C&I might be the same thing, might be the business owner, entrepreneur, or founder. So what do we need to get volume sales? Well, we need consistency. Quite a lot of the time people say, right, I'm going to do social media. And they do it for about 2 weeks and they go, oh, not got time for this. So boom, that falls flat. It's all about, they'll do email marketing for a couple of newsletters and then that's it. It's all about consistency. One of those good things about using a good external agency is that they're paid to do this stuff. So it's their focus. Whereas sometimes if you use an internal person who's also got to do the accounts, who's also got to do 1,000,001 other things, which are in the urgent and important box, marketing tends to fall in the urgent, not urgent, but important box. And of course, all the firefighting stuff takes over. So it's about, how are we going to build this in and not saying, yes, we're going to do it and then fail to do it. And that's where the reporting comes in, regular review, what's working, what doesn't work. And then if you find something that works, can you double down? So I buy and sell shares. I used to, until sort of COVID came along and sort of put the market into a bit of a spin. But there, what you do if a share was growing, you then double down on it. It's exactly the same in marketing, but it only has an impact to a certain level. So, for example, if you're marketing in Google AdWords a specific keyword that's working particularly well, there will come a point when you double down where it has no impact, and that's where you need to make sure that, because you've run out of people searching for it, you're getting to all your audience, and then you need to look at another campaign. So what is the right funnel? One of the things we always ask, especially on these 90-day accelerator programs, what paid advertising can we sensibly put in place? It's not for everything, doesn't work on everything. And is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it even TikTok? You know, what paid would, so if you spend, so for example, a couple of years ago now, on Facebook, you could spend £1 and get £7 back in sales. It was like clockwork. And then Apple came along and said, no, you're not getting access to all this information that you had before. So the targeting just dropped through the floor for Facebook, and it turned out that every £1 you spent, you're getting £1 back. So okay for brand awareness, but not much good for anything else. And there's a growing number. I mean, a number of emails I get of external lead generators. So it's whether those become important, or like I've done in some companies, we employ a sales, a desk-based sales person, and still use the old-fashioned ringing round. It still works for some industries. So don't ignore the old-fashioned stuff as well, which is sometimes easy to do. Although getting, you know, the younger generation to pick up a phone is becoming more challenging, because of course my generation, that's all we had. But it's but there's still some really good people out there, whatever their age. So don't ignore standard telesales. Do it in a nice way, but you know, you don't have to say, it's not double glazing. You can have a nice conversation with somebody. And the other thing that I personally have been very successful with is partnerships. Over the years, that 600 companies wasn't just me generating them. Probably I'd say about 400 came from partnerships I'd got with business support organizations. And that's worked very well for me. So who else in your industry? So the app we're developing, we'll be looking to work with marketing consultants, because it really helps them with their business, and they will then have customers who will bring to the table. So we're going to be marketing to marketing consultants, and they will be then marketing to their clients. So then gets what's called a multiplier effect. So, you know, have a good think. I know one of our other technical companies that we work with, they don't have any salespeople, and they get probably 90% of their inquiries from their partnerships. And so they're looking for more partners to work with, because there's that synergy there. And if you remember right at the beginning slides, we talked about collaboration, and that's what that's all about. You know, who can you work with to get a win-win situation? They benefit and you benefit. And as things become more specialized, you'll see probably more of that. Okay, so how do I get more for my personal effort? Well, we do a thing called campaign stacking. So we might have a Google AdWords campaign, which will generate downloads, say, for example, or inquiries. They will then go into an email marketing campaign. And then from that, once they've had 5 or 6 emails, which kind of introduce them to the business, we then probably put them into their longer term email marketing list. And that's what we do with these workshops. We've got a bigger list, which is fairly cold. And we have a smaller list of those people who, you know, like to hear from us and like to attend and regularly attend the workshops. And so we market to both of those. And, you know, we talked, the affiliate strategy is similar to the partnerships approach. You know, how can you get other people involved where there's a win-win? Must be a win-win. A lot of people forget that they can repurpose content. They can lengthen it, shorten it. I was in a company where we need to get more international distribution going. They've already got a lot of stuff, content for the UK market. And one of their jobs now is to, and probably use AI, because AI is brilliant at this, is to repurpose that material for a global market. It's going to be quite quick with the AI, and they've already got all the content, so it's quite easy to do. is there anything you can double down on? And it may be the case you can't, but always worth finding out, because that is a great way of getting further growth without much effort. We go back to that success equation. And one of the things that we all forget, and we all need a reminder, is do what you love doing and what's going to add real value, and then delegate. Who else can do this work? And don't ignore things like Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer. There's some fantastic people around the world who don't demand very much in terms of payment, but can make a real difference. We've significantly deepened what we can do, increase the depth of what we can do by using on an ad hoc basis, but regularly with these people, to work on our project. They know our values, they know how we work, and we just say, hey, we've got another project. It doesn't require too much explanation, because they know what we're expecting, and it works really well. So we've now, if any, I don't know how many of you are Simon Sinek fans, but I think he's produced some really good books, and one of his later books, The Infinite Game, is all about playing the long game. We talk about competition, but running a business is not competition. Yes, we call them competitors, we call it competition, but actually, if you're in business, there are people who set up business for a year and all that sort of stuff. But for the majority of us, we're in it for the long game. We're in it for sustainable growth and income. And his book really goes into that. And he talks about worthy rivals. So not competitors maybe, but worthy rivals. And I love that phrase, because it's about finding those people who you can connect with, who you can look at and go, okay, I like some of the stuff that they're doing. I'm not going to copy it, but I'm going to adapt and develop it for my business. And Apple and Microsoft for a long time were worthy rivals. Whether that's true now, I don't know. Yeah, look at who's doing really well. What things could you do that would make a difference? We talked about marginal gains. Absolutely. You're not going to change the world, and you don't want to get involved in what the US called betting the farm on things, throwing all your eggs into one basket. It's all about what bits can we improve and keep improving. Google likes that when it sees it to a website. Employees like that because it's not massive change, but it's that continual change. It's about improving things and getting them involved in improving things. And again, there's whole bunches of leadership and management type workshops that you'll have seen that. Okay, it's coming up to 12 o'clock. Very, very many thanks to everyone attending the webinar. I hope you did find it useful. As I said, the recordings of the presentation we put on the website in a day or so, and a link sent out to everyone who's registered, so you don't have to panic. Rachel will be on the case and you'll get a link to that. So as part of an awesome series, the next workshop will be driving sales revenue growth through effective marketing. So we mentioned marketing, stacking the campaign stacking, doing the right thing for you guys. That's what we'll be covering. So we'll be covering some of the things that I've probably glossed over, but in more depth. What does it look like when we hit the keyboards with these things? And if you want to find out more, book on the event section of Vision2Success, and I look forward to seeing you in November. And Rachel's popped the URL into the chat as well. So thank you very much, and have a good week.